Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. Cindy here from CLB Craft Creations with another card project for you in the 2016 holiday card series. We are using the Christmas Pines set as well as the framelits, and so there is actually quite a bit of die cutting in this card design, but I've gone ahead and just to save time, I've already gone ahead and die cut actually all of my stuff, but I will show you the stamping and everything that goes along with it. So let's get started. Our card base is going to be a piece of garden green, which is cut actually at 8 by 5.5, scored at 4, so it's cut down just a little bit shorter so that it still fits in a regular medium-sized envelope. But this also allows you to maximize your designer series paper, since you would be cutting it in strips of 4, so it'd be 4 by 4. Now we're going to be using some of the designer series paper from the annual catalog. This is actually not from our holiday catalog. This is cut at 4 by 4, and I believe it's called This Christmas. But I will make sure that on the screen you have the correct name for this designer series paper. So this piece is cut at 4 by 4, and it's just going to go right here on top. And then we have a piece of Very Vanilla, which is cut at 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 square. This is what we're going to do our stamping on. And then you're going to need some crumb cake cardstock, and I'm going to use just a scrap here to show you the stamping. Let's see if I've got a clean piece here. Just a piece of crumb cake to do your stamping on, and then you're going to need some pear pizzazz as well as garden green cardstock to do, and cherry cobbler to do your die cutting. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to stamp our sentiment first. We're going to be stamping that the Noel in cherry cobbler ink, and bring in my little piece here, and we're going to put this right down at the bottom. Ink that up really well. I do notice that with this stamp set that sometimes I need to use a piece underneath of me, just like the Stampin' Pierce mat, but we're going to see if we can get a clean image on this one, just because my foam mat is actually on my other work surface. So let's just see. We'll give this a second to transfer the ink. That's not too bad. Okay, so sometimes it's just about being patient and allowing the ink to transfer properly. Okay, so that is done, and we're going to bring in the pine pieces, and we're going to stamp in pear pizzazz as well as garden green. I'm going to take the fuller image in garden and pear pizzazz, so we'll go ahead and do that one next. And that's it's fuller. So we'll ink that up fully. Now this whole thing will not fit on this piece of cardstock, but it's not really designed to. So we'll ink it up, and then what you should do is kind of eyeball. You want that piece that swoops down to kind of nestle in around the N and into the O and the E. And it's okay to stamp it off the page. Again, same thing with the Noel, just give it a second to transfer. If you have your mat, go ahead and use it. Certainly wouldn't hurt. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and stamp our garden green image. And these are not really designed to be perfectly aligned. It's just to give a little bit of detail. So you can relax in the fact that you don't have to worry about lining it up perfectly. It does line up fairly well, but the idea again is not to have it perfectly aligned. It's just supposed to lay right on top and give a little bit of detail color. Okay, so there you go. And it just kind of makes it look a little bit more three-dimensional and fuller. So those are done. Now we're going to go ahead and stamp our acorns. This is probably the most stamping that I've done on a card in a while. We're stamping for a card, not necessarily on a card, but for a card. All right, so we're going to do actually we don't need this one. Yes, we do, sorry. So we have the kind of the triangle shaped image. Let me show you on the actual card, on the thing here. So we're going to be using this one here. This is the more detailed, fuller one. So of the larger, we're going to use this acorn, and then of the smaller one, we're going to use the more vibrant acorn. And we're going to use soft suede ink for that onto our crumb cake, and then we're going to cut these out. So just make sure when you stamp them that you leave enough room to put your framelits on it. Okay, and then you would then go and die cut those. Now I've already done that, just to, again, to save time. I'm going to bring in my pieces here. Where is my other piece? Looks like I lost my other piece. Okay, well. All right, well, I guess we're going to go ahead and, if you give me a minute, I will go ahead and die cut this piece. Ready to run out of battery. Oh, there goes my camera. The camera's getting ready to die. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our sponge and just lightly sponge around the edges. We don't want it too dark. We just want a little bit of, just a little bit of color. And we're going to do it to both of those pieces. And I'll show you the other two pieces. Okay, and then I also cut out in the solid a piece of early espresso, and then I used the detailed framelit to cut out that piece of the acorn. And I'm just going to sponge around this one too. Okay, and it just gives it a little bit of depth. So that is actually all of the stamping now. Hopefully I can get through this before my camera dies. And let's bring in our card base. We're just going to go ahead and use some fast fuse on this. Bit of checking motion. And then I'm just going to center this on the card front. It's going to go flush top to bottom. And then you just want to make sure that it's centered from right to left. And then our next piece actually is going to be a piece of the cherry cobbler ribbon, which is in the annual catalog. It comes in a set of 2 with some garden green as well. Okay, and then I'm just going to layer that right down here at the bottom. Okay, got some adhesive on there. Now we'll go ahead and lay this piece of Very Vanilla, which I don't know if I mentioned that it was actually Very Vanilla. This is going to go, darn it. Okay, so then this is just going to get centered in the middle of that Designer Series paper piece. And then I had mentioned before that you would die cut from the framelits. I've got the middle size of the evergreen framelits, one in garden green and one in pear pizzazz, and then you're just going to layer them on here. So we're going to layer those I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on here. You could probably use glue dots. You could probably even use your glue dots, or your snail. The fast fuse is a little harsh on these tiny little fronds, if you will. And then we're just going to kind of line up your base pieces there and add that on there. And then I am going to use glue dot for the acorn. So I'm going to just put a glue dot at the top. Now there are holes there, so be aware that it's going to be sticky through, but we're going to add the bow on there, so it should hide it. And I'm just going to line that up to the top of this acorn, press that down, and I do want that to be loose like that. And then these guys will get added. I'm going to take the little one, and you can use snail or fast fuse on this. I'm just using glue dots because they're quick and easy. I'm going to stick this acorn right over top of these pieces here just to kind of hide where they meet. And then I'm going to add the unlayered acorn over here to the right. And I'm just going to kind of stick it on the stamped piece. And then I'm going to take my other acorn and I'm going to kind of tuck this in here, kind of at an angle. And now I have my little bow that I cut out in cherry cobbler, and I'm going to use one of the pine cone embellishments. There are actually mini pine cone embellishments and some of the cherry cobbler baker's twine. This comes in a 3-pack with some gold and garden green in the holiday catalog. Just going to put that in there. Get my scissors. Get a nice clean edge. Just feed that through. Okay, and then I'm going to tie this onto, and this I just really want to knot. I don't want to do anything fancy with it. If I can get it tied. These embellishments are so pretty. I saw them in the catalog and I liked them, and then I wanted to make this card, so I ordered them. And then when I got them, I could not believe how pretty they were. They're so much prettier in person than they are in the catalog. So if you've been contemplating them, they're totally worth it in my opinion. Now I'm going to cut these little excess edges pretty close because I don't really want them to show. Okay, get that scrap out of the way. And I would also put a piece of Very Vanilla on the inside to mat that so I could write my message. And then I'm going to just take a glue dot and I'm going to put that right in the center, in the back where I knotted that twine. And I'm going to now add that to the top of my pine cones. And there you have your card. So I hope you enjoyed that card project. Again, I did a lot of the die cutting off camera, but it really didn't take very long. So you could probably whip through this pretty quickly, especially if you're doing this in mass production. You just kind of do all your die cutting at once and it goes pretty quickly. So I hope that you liked that card project. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and please leave a comment. Let me know what you thought, and join me for the next card in the series. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.